I picked up a line from one Jada Peterson show I watched, and the line is to have a clear view of life, you have to obliterate from your consciousness almost everything that you can because otherwise you are overwhelmed. And I spent a little bit of time thinking about this hypothesis. And the reason for my rumination is to confirm, to check the viability of the possibility that I can decimate my consciousness, which almost means the same as my experiences that have been woven into both my conscious and subconscious mind. And on that, because I'm a patriot to psychology, so I'm just willing to accept whatever it says. So yeah, I try to also think or just ruminate that, let's say it is in fact possible, since psychology is trying to tell us that it is possible to segregate my experiences and pick those I want and palm with the rest because I don't want them. To what extent can this really be actualized, to know that these are lived experiences that are being registered in my brain and body and soul and mind and just like every part of me? And as usual, I tried to table this before the people I have around me because I tend to do this whenever I'm trying to deliberate on anything that I can't seem to be sure of exactly what I necessarily feel about it, especially if I remain unsure, even after spending like a great deal of time trying to decide where I stand with that. And my reason to always do something like this is from my belief that by presenting my subject of concern to a number of people, where the chances are they are going to view it and see it from non-identical angles and have each propose to me as to why they feel about it the way they do, I can then have a more profound view into the subject of concern from having seen the various lenses through which it can be viewed, and that we then make it so that I become rather more aware of the various ways to go about reflecting on this, and that will then help ace things and puts me on track to picking a side necessarily. So yeah, I decided to review this hypothesis with my friends, and what I derived from having one person tell me that this is utterly impossible because did you had a memory loss, and another one telling me that it is in fact possible, and even brought forward instances, is that there is a possibility, a very high possibility, that hardly anything is essentially and fundamentally true or false or possible or impossible. And I'm not saying in the extensive realm, I'm not saying in the extensive range and realm, I'm saying as far as things of this nature are concerned, that is how it presents to me. That's one basically just say the word and everything else through the lens of their mind and mindset. And while we may want to bring forward that there are certain things that remain true and even natural and biological or unalterable, and even the rest don't just that to unfold based off of our judgment or perceptions, but as the trajectories required, or maybe not even required. And I'm saying that is true, right? But in the end, it doesn't really matter in what way or manner anything or any situation ended up unfolding, because you can only see objectively, okay, perceive the trajectory as permitted by the beliefs of your conscious and subconscious mind, which make it more of a standing and strong truth that you see the world through the lens of what you have decided to believe is true to you, or a real or possible or impossible, etc. And it doesn't matter if these things unfold as you have imagined or expected, or perceive or not. However they do, you see the unfolding within the limits and jurisdictions and the confines of your fundamental perception of those, which eventually, I repeat, boils down to how it is in your subconsciousness. So, all this explanation, very sure, it will somehow explains why I am not going to assert that this is, segregating and liquidating your mind and experiences and consciousness or subconsciousness is either possible or not, because I am concluding that whatever you perceive to be true or real or possible is as you have decided to permit it in your own mind. So, it doesn't matter whatever I'm trying to tell you, whatever you have decided to believe, to permit as a reality, or even lies in your own mind, is what is the situation, is what is true, is what is a lie. But I'm going to say, whenever you are faced with adversities or are torn between options and feelings or emotion, if you can pause to reflect and attempt to segregate from all these factors that are contributing to your suffering, which is true to you as far as the truth you are willing to allow into your subconsciousness is concerned, you it is very likely that you find it way more easier to find a way around that. Otherwise, you might just have a great and long ride with that. And I'm not saying there are not certain situations that it doesn't matter what you have decided to believe or not, they just happen how they are meant to, sometimes you, even if it doesn't matter if you have decided this is my reality or not, they just don't correspond with your reality. In that same vein, I want to believe that whatever, I mean, if you are very deep rooted in your own perception of that very situation or thing, what you have chose to believe is much more coherent in your mind and whatever the reality may be. Like when you've decided that, when we fall in love and then we decide to believe that our partner, our lover, is the best thing in the world, even though that may not uh, be entirely true. But because we have managed to convince the mind, that is the only way we are going to see them, at least until something changes. And so is the possibility that we can, in fact, trick the mind into believing that a certain thing, which may not really be the case, is the case. And before you know it, it just starts to unfold in ways that align with what we are convinced the mind to believe. So I guess I don't need to go into details to explain or let you know the purpose of this video, because I guess you can pick up from there. But for the sake of those who will not necessarily pick up, this is to tell you that whatever you try to convince your mind to believe, okay, you want whatever you've decided that you want as your reality, the things you want to see happening in your life, manifesting in your life. I think I prove to you that the first step to bringing those about is to convince yourself that those are already your reality. Makes sense? Thank you.